Hi there. Welcome to this information briefing related to our current research call, OSH as a fundamental principle and right at work. Before we launch into the details about the call, or even give an overview on today's briefing, let's start by introducing ourselves. So I'm Mary Ogunbaje, Manager of the Research Function at IOSH.
I'm Dr. Christopher Davis, one of our research programme leads, where, among other things, I'm responsible for working with commissioned research teams. This briefing is designed to give potential applicants a better understanding of who we are and what we do at IOSH, as well as some background to the research programme and the sorts of research activities that we undertake. It will also provide information about the 2022 call for proposals itself, including an explanation of the topic area and the application process. We'll highlight all the practical guidance required to apply, including the ways to access the necessary documentation, the key dates to remember, and so on. And finally, we'll share details about several upcoming drop-in sessions, which will give applicants the opportunity or the opportunities to ask any questions that they may have. So let's start with a bit of useful background information about IOSH generally and about IOSH research programme specifically. We are the Institution of Occupational Safety and Health, or IOSH, and we're the largest membership body for health and safety professionals, with around 49,000 members at present across 130 countries. Our mission is to be a professional body leading the way in global occupational safety and health, a mission that is, of course, helped by the research that we produce. It mentions here that we act as an advisor, as an advocate, and as a trainer, which is a reflection of the diverse ways we are involved in the field of occupational safety and health. And just to elaborate on this, we host a number of networks for professionals to connect with each other and to share information, such as sector-specific groups and local, more regional branches around the world. In terms of advocacy work, we develop and promote policy positions, and we take part in government and other bodies' consultation processes on OSH policy issues. And we have a training network that currently includes over 1,300 providers and extends across 53 countries. Moving on to the fourth point on the slide, our aim as an organisation is to create workplaces that are safer, healthier, and more sustainable. And finally, one of our charitable objectives is to promote methods of improving OSH and to advance the principles, the methods, and systems of their application at work. In other words, we're interested in developing credible, evidence-based means to improve working conditions for all workers everywhere. And this is where the research programme comes in, because the research we undertake is ultimately motivated by this objective.
I won't go through the entire timeline here, so feel free to look at this more fully at your leisure, but it is worth mentioning some of the more significant milestones. As it suggests, IOSH has been funding research projects since 2005, primarily through an annual call for proposals. Historically, this has involved a research call inviting proposals from applicants on a particular branch of occupational safety and health. For example, the last research call we ran in 2019 was interested in proposals on work-related musculoskeletal disorders and non-health-related fatalities. A few years ago, we hosted a workingonsafety.net conference aimed at researchers and other professionals. So alongside commissioning research through the annual competition, we've also been involved in championing and promoting research in other ways. Since establishing the research programme, we've invested around £6.5 million in around 40 separate research projects, the outcomes of which I'll move on to in a moment. And lastly, it's probably worth pointing out that due to the COVID pandemic, our last call was disrupted. So this year's call for research signifies a reactivation of our research commissioning activity. As with the previous slide, I won't go through each of the figures here, but hopefully the information gives you an indication of the scale and the scope of our research to date. You'll notice from the centre figure on the slide that we've previously worked with research organisations in a number of countries. Some of these have been based in the UK, but we've also worked with others further afield. Another important aspect shown on this slide is the one positioned in the top right corner, which relates to the sorts of outputs we've produced as part of the research programme. The figures here reflect the number of full academic reports and the number of practitioner-focused summary reports and the number of tools and resources that we've also published. Past projects have explored a variety of topics in the field, including shift work, occupational cancer, return to work strategies, occupational safety and health management in complex organisations, and mental health and well-being. At the end of our projects, we do publish the findings to ultimately improve OSH in the workplace. Like I mentioned before, these are likely to be in the form of a detailed report on the project aimed at the research and academic community, and a summary report that's targeted at a practitioner audience. We're also really keen to translate the findings into resources that can help OSH practitioners, or for example, employers, apply evidence-based learnings in practice. This may be in the form of a guide, a checklist, case studies, and so on. Where appropriate, we also aim to utilise our research to inform and develop policies.
And so to this year's call for proposals. Just as background, in 1998, the ILO established 4 fundamental principles and rights at work. In simple terms, they were the freedom of association and the right to collective bargaining, the elimination of forced or compulsory labour, the abolition of child labour, and the elimination of discrimination related to employment and occupation. In June 2022, a safe and healthy working environment was also added to that quartet. This is obviously a landmark decision for OSH, and it paves the way for greater global prominence. However, currently, it's reported that 80% of the global working population still do not have access to formal OSH services, which raises questions about how safety and health is considered, mitigated for, and managed globally. In practice, we know that the prevention of occupational disease and injury is achieved through the implementation of preventative services. And we know also that these are delivered in a multitude of ways and by many different stakeholders. And thus the scope, the accessibility, and the effectiveness of OSH services are often influenced by various contextual factors, including things such as legislation and regulation, as well as a company's maturity, its size, and its location. With all this in mind, we want, as part of this research call, to better understand how OSH services are delivered and influenced by the following factors. So the scope of OSH programmes, for example, what and who are included in them or excluded from them. The facilitators and the barriers to service delivery, i.e. any internal or external micro or macro level factors that influence the way that OSH services are delivered, and the competence of those delivering the programmes. So who are the professionals responsible for the safety and health of workers? We're looking for research proposals that seek to explore this in a global sense. In order to gain a better understanding of this, a crucial element of the research will be that it focuses on different sectors and employment models and on both high and low to middle income countries. Ultimately, we're hoping for learnings from the research that could be used to improve and promote access to OSH services. That may come from clearly articulating context-specific challenges relating to OSH delivery, or by identifying examples of good practice.
So to summarise, we're inviting research proposals that are inclusive and have global relevance and explores OSH service delivery in terms of sector and risk profile, employment model, and/or multidisciplinary approach. Proposed projects must be within the budget, which is 150,000, and submitted by the deadline, which, to be precise, is 23:59 GMT time, on Monday, the 28th of November. Let's go through the application process now. Firstly, it's important to highlight that we will only consider applications that meet our eligibility criteria. So please look out for information on our website on what those are. If you submit an application, please note that there are up to 5 key stages that a proposal may go through. The first is an assessment process, which will enable us to shortlist applications. We'll keep you updated at the end of this step, so you'll know whether your proposal has been declined or shortlisted. All shortlisted applications will then go for peer review. These reviewers will be independent and would normally comprise of practitioners and experts in the subject area. If your proposal has been shortlisted and taken through the peer review process, you may be invited to discuss your proposal in more detail with us, and this will give you an opportunity to answer any questions we may have and provide further clarity if needed. This can always take place virtually if it's more feasible. As part of our process, any proposed project that we would like to commission will of course need to be approved, and this would be by the relevant decision-making group. Those involved are our business management group, the Finance and Investment Committee, and the Board of Trustees. As you will expect, this whole process can take some time, but we will notify you of our decision as soon as we're able. In addition to this information briefing, you'll find all the information you need on our website. If you're interested in submitting an application, please particularly look out for the full research call statement, the application form you'll need to present your proposal, a guide you'll need to assist you when completing your application, and the full process for your reference. We'd also encourage you to look at our frequently asked questions on our website. But if you do have a general inquiry that's not covered, then please direct them to the email address ourfunding@iosh.com. But remember to give yourself plenty of time to get a response. As a reminder, applications must be submitted before the deadline. Before we close, I'm going to hand back to Chris to talk about our drop-in sessions.
While the call is live and the window for proposals is open, you may have questions that you'd like to ask us about the application process. With that in mind, we're hosting a number of drop-in sessions over the next couple of weeks. These will be 90-minute sessions and we'll have an open door policy, meaning that you're able to log in at any point and they will be attended by members of the IOSH research team who will be on hand to respond. The sessions will take place on the following dates: Friday the 21st of October, Monday the 24th of October, and Friday the 28th of October. The links to join these drop-ins are now included on the research programme pages of the IOSH website, and these should take you straight to the sessions at the times and dates listed on the slide here. In the meantime, any other questions that you have can be directed to the email address provided earlier. Equally, if you do have any questions and are unable to join any of the drop-in sessions, please also feel free to contact us by email. And that brings this briefing to a close. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to receiving your proposals or your questions over the coming weeks.